recorded. I get that. And I think I'm sharing, aren't I? For you who are pros at Zoom, I think I'm sharing. Oh, anyway, welcome. And I thought what I'd like to do, thank you for the resumes that you've sent me. Those are very helpful. And I can tell that I have some very extremely busy people who I'm going to be working with this semester. Let me also start by telling you Steve Laws is so disappointed that he is not teaching you. He says you are the most delightful group that he's ever worked with. So he sends his hello and regrets. But I'm delighted. I'm actually glad to get to work with you. Let me introduce myself, and then I'd like to get a little bit more from you. I am Steve Stone. I am new to this job as of August the 7th. So during that time frame, welcome Cynthia. During that time frame, I have had to learn a lot. You know more about Zoom than I do. You know more about Blackboard than I do. So hopefully at the end of this semester, we will learn it. I'll know a whole lot more about it. So if it ever comes to a point where I can't answer something, I'll try to find the answer for you and get it back with you. Also, I do believe in the 24/4. I'll try to return your emails within 4 hours. I'll try to do all of your grading within the 24-hour time frame. So again, all new to this. A little bit about myself so you know who's instructing you. I have retired from another job on June the 30th. I was the superintendent in Caldwell County Schools, right below Wilkes and above Burke, a little bit further west than Elkin. Had been doing that for 12 years, have 38 years of experience in North Carolina in the different school systems, and have been a principal, have been a assistant principal for way too long than I wanted to be one. Have also been a central office director and a superintendent in 3 different districts. So with that said, I'm an old guy, but I've been around. So what I really hope that we can do through our Zoom sessions is that you'll utilize me for a sounding board. I know you all have tremendous ambitions and career objectives, so please use me as a sounding board because I kind of want that to be a part of where we move forward in the course. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're still missing 3. Welcome, Ms. Smith.
Hello, Dr. Stone. How are you?
Thank you for registering today.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's go ahead and get started then. Since I can see you in different places, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? Beyond what's on your resume, what I'm really looking for is what your career goals, where you see yourself maybe in about 5 years. Okay? So let me start with how my screen divides you. And Deanna Smith? Did I get it right? Delana. Okay. Where are you going to be in 5 years?
I'd like to be teaching at a university in 5 years.
Gardner-Webb maybe?
Possibly.
All right. Well, they're always looking for good professors. So, and your current position in Wilkes County?
I'm principal at North Wilkesboro Elementary School.
North Wilkesboro. All right. Well, welcome. And you've been in this program now you also serve as a trustee here at the community college.
Yes.
I mean, here at the Gardner-Webb University, excuse me.
Yes.
All right. How long have you been in education?
This is my 17th year.
17. All right. All right. Pamela, you have to unmute yourself. You're on. Pamela Huffman. Can you unmute? Oh, you can't?
Right.
There you go.
Unmute. Okay. This is my 20th year. This is my 5th year at West Wilkes Middle School as principal. So where would I like to see myself in 5 years? I hope I can be looking at doing something a little bit different, probably something at a university level or like a liaison that could help new principals as they're coming in or either new teachers. That's what I would like to do.
That's a great feel. Karen, you're next on my screen. Karen?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, in 5 years, it's hard to say. I started a new job as Director of Elementary Education in Burke County and Preschool and Title I. So I hope in 5 years I have figured out everything in this job because there's a lot to it. So I hope I'll still be in Burke County and maybe looking at assistant superintendent positions in the area and see what other doors are open.
All right. how long have you been in the pre-K program? Did you say you were in the kindergarten pre-K
No,
program?
this is my first year as a pre-K.
Okay.
This is my first year in as director of preschool services.
Okay. Because
County.
last year
I
the
just
board,
started this job July 1st.
all right. Because last year the Board of Education of Caldwell County went down to view one of your buses, your pre-K buses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
we have 3 mobile preschool buses. Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. It really was. All right. Well, welcome. All right.
So I'm learning a lot.
Good. All right. Pam Colbert.
Well, this is my 28th year in education, so I'm an oldie goldie, but I still love it, still enjoy it every day. In 5 years, I see myself either as an associate superintendent or possibly even a superintendent of a small district somewhere. I'm not opposed to moving to the coast. And
Those jobs are hard to come by.
I
At the
know.
coast.
Eventually, I really would like to either work at a university with new teachers and new principals, or I've actually thought about possibly having a business for future schools to where me and a team could go in and take over schools to help them be successful. I have a really successful team now, and I feel like we have a lot of innovative ideas that we kind of have things kind of humming along. And so I think there's maybe opportunities in the future for groups such as that to go in and help schools. So
Excellent.
We'll
Great
see.
need for that. All right. Kristen.
Hello, I'm Kristen, and this is my 13th year in education, my first year as a principal. I'm at an elementary school, and in the future, the next 5 years, I probably will continue to be in administration, maybe move to a district level position at some point. And my end goal, once my girls are older, is to possibly teach at a college or university once they're gone and in college themselves.
Okay. Thank you. Cynthia.
Hello, I am in my 26th year of education, and I have been in my current role as Chief Academic Officer for 10 years, might be 11 in November.
You've been there almost as long as I was in Caldwell County.
I know that. My aspirations, and I'm being very serious when I say this, is to be able to work beyond 30 because I have a 5th grader.
Oh my God.
My other 2 are quite a bit older, and my husband won't let me retire.
Good for him.
No, don't say that.
It is.
Once I do get to retire, whether it's at 30, 35, whatever, or they kick me out, I really would like to work with beginning teachers. I currently work with beginning teachers, and I enjoy that role. And that has multiple possibilities within itself. And I would like to teach at the higher ed level in some capacity. Or I have a friend that she and I have talked about actually contracting and taking our show on the road, so to speak. I don't know. We'll just see what God puts in front of me.
Well, you have golden opportunities. All right. Alfreda, did I get it right? You have to unmute?
Yes, sir, you did. Frida's fine.
Frida, okay.
5 years. I would like to, our school system has instructional superintendents. We have 6 of them. I would love to be one of those individuals within 5 years. I've been at Northwest for 5 years and in education for 20 years. My retirement goal is to teach some MSA program working with potential new principals.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. I am living a goal too, because just like you, I think almost everyone mentioned this at some point, wanting to work at a university level. And so this has always been in one of my dreams too. So you're my guinea pig. So I hope it works well. So, all right. I'm sure the other 2 will be joining us. I want to talk a little bit about the format of the class. This is nothing new to you all, but we have Zoom sessions. And let me just say, here's what Steve Laws told me. He said and this is his shell. So when we created the shell, it was pretty much his because I got here late, so I kind of inherited it. But he did say that I have some flexibility with it. So as we go along, I hope you will allow me to be flexible if it needs to be, and we can make it a little bit stronger, a little bit better for you. One of the things that I'm kind of thinking in my mind about is, he said, and I can't imagine doing this, that usually the Zoom sessions last 2.5 hours. Okay. I'm going to have difficulty going 2.5 hours just staying awake. So I hope you don't get offended. If when we're done, we're done. So when we finished up what I wanted to do, what I'm really looking forward to are those weekends in which we have a chance to do some face-to-face interaction. So don't hold me to those 2.5 hours, because really when I'm done and you guys are through asking questions, I'm really am done. And I know you've got some other things to do too. 3 goals for me for this course. One is I want to help create an opportunity for you to be very successful in this program. The other is I want to, and I see my primary role here is not to tell you how to read the chapters or what to pick up from the chapters, but it's basically to be someone who's had some unique experiences that you might could learn from or you might could benefit from. So I hope you'll use me as a sounding board for that. And the other is to get you through this program with as much success and all the tools that you need to do to be successful in all those career goals that you have. I'm very disappointed though that only one of you, I think, mentioned that you have direct goals for that superintendent's office. That office is awesome. I have to tell you, the best years of my life, no matter what they tell you about being overworked and too much going on, it is a lot of stress sometimes. But when things are going right, it's an awesome job. So you may want to reconsider that, all of you out there, because there are plenty of jobs out there for superintendents, and there's a shortage coming up of superintendents and associate superintendents, so it's a good time. All right, I'm going to start sharing some items. Kind of what I wanted to do today. Let's see where that is. Of course, I can't find it right here. Oh, well, I'm going to go to share screen. You guys are still there. Thank you for staying. All right. Can you all see the Zoom session 1 kind of rough draft of what I wanted to do today? Can you nod? Can you see it? Got it. All right. Welcome introductions. Everybody goes through, talk about that. We've already done that. I want to review the Blackboard shell. And this is just something we always do at Garner Webb, the class schedule, discussion boards, course assignments. I want to look at that PAP, which is your major project that's due this time, the policy analysis project, which is kind of the capstone for 708. I do want to show you a short little video put out by the School of Education on our new conceptual framework and structure. Stop to ask questions, maybe do a bathroom break. There's a video that Steve says you need to see, so we're going to look at that. Then I want to talk about what's next in the next couple of weeks with the course calendar, some assignments for you that I've already put together, and I'm afraid, Frida, I left you out, but I will certainly, well, actually, I have you in there now. And then there's an example of kind of what we're going toward, and then a Q&A, and whatever time we finish, we finish. Is that okay? All right. Where am I? Let's see. I need to go here. All right. All right. You have done Blackboard so many times that you really don't need me to in any way talk to you about it, because you certainly know more about it than I do. But looking at the calendar, I just want to remind you of some of the dates if you haven't already put those on your calendar. I'm also looking at possibility of that November 7th. If we have moved along a lot, we may not have an official Zoom session that night. It may be where I'm available if you want to Zoom with me so we can talk about the PAP. That's kind of what I wanted to do that last October the 7th. So keep that in mind. We may cancel that Zoom session for everybody and just make it as a join me if you can as we talk about the PAP. But definitely the other dates are in there. The Friday, the weekend sessions, I understand that some of you may have some problems with the Friday. Don't worry about it. We'll work through it. That September 21st, 22nd, that Friday night, we will meet at the Stone Center. Thank you, Ms. Smith. We'll meet there at 6. 9 o'clock is just what's on paper. When we finish, we finish. On Saturday, we'll try to meet at 9, and we'll have a lunch, and then we'll be out of there whenever we are done with it. All that's going to be at the Stone Center, and I'm assuming that you've all met there before. Isn't that where you've done all your other coursework for this cohort? So, all right. So, looking at that, you know, I'm going to at some point be an expert on this. Weekly devotional, that's not it. Weekly class schedule. Okay. All right, just kind of a nutshell of some of the things that we are going to be doing. I don't know if you've all gotten the books. Again, if you have got a different edition, just try to follow along. And when you are responsible for your presentation, you may want to borrow from a colleague the correct edition. But that should be, you should be going ahead and looking at that. I want you to begin to also look at the policy analysis, particularly part A, because we'll do that very quickly coming up. Tonight, we're going to, you see our week 2, our Zoom session, and then next week we have another Zoom session, and we're going to start our student presentations. And I am so looking forward to that, because Steve says that you are, Dr. Law says you guys are phenomenal when it comes to presentations. So I'm going to be giving you a kind of my example tonight, so you can feel free to do whatever you want with that. All right. You've seen this a million times. You probably looked at it, but we have the full calendar. I do want to remind you that November 7th date, week, where is that? Week here, 7 or week 11. We may very well incorporate that into some of the other. I particularly think we may have one opportunity to do those things on a Saturday afternoon, so we may make that particular day open for, particularly for getting through the PAP. Any questions on that before I go to, God, this is just wonderful. I'm actually, the last time, oh, I have to tell you, just an aside, and I talk a lot, so you guys are going to have to stop me, but I promise you I won't talk for 2.5 hours. Last week I had my first 605 class, which is in the males program. First time I've ever Zoomed in my life. 15 minutes before the Zoom session started, everything went wrong. My email would not send out invitations. The video wouldn't work. So I am so impressed. I'm already giving myself high kudos now for just to be able to see you guys, and you've been able to see me, because this whole class had to talk to a blank screen. So I'm excited. All right, the discussion board, you're very familiar with all of those things. Week 1, go ahead and look at that scenario on the ethics. Go ahead and post it into the discussion board, and I will look into those. You see, each one of those, you have some different items to do. All right, the other thing I want to show you is the course assessments. And again, you're all familiar with this. This describes in detail, or will, policy analysis, the big capstone project for us. These are also items that must, in the presentations and questions. All right. Is there something else that I am responsible for showing you? I'm trying to think. All right. Okay, I want to talk about the policy analysis real quick. This is again the capstone project. It's on page 91 of the males not the males, but of the handbook for the program, so you can get a good feel for it. But it's on the line. But this is pretty much the project that we are responsible for. There's 3 parts or 4 parts: part A, part B, part C, and we'll work through these. And that's why I wanted to kind of keep that November 7th open, so we can look at putting it all together to make sure that it's ready to go into task stream. You have the rubric involved. You see that there as well. It relates to the 7 competencies of a school administrator. There's a narrative on page, I'm not sure what page this is on, but again, it's all in the handbook for you to look at. This is the biggie. And it talks about the project and the objectives of 708. There it is, and the artifacts that are built from it. All that is online for you. All right, let me at this point take you to the new community, the new universities. I'm trying to get through. If I was organized, I'd have this up already. Oh, there it is. Occasionally, if you'll give me a thumbs up so I know I haven't lost you and I'm not just talking to myself, just occasionally, you know. I'm going to move you for a minute. Do any of you have trouble getting into Blackboard?
No,
Just me, huh?
maybe.
Let's see where it is. I want you to watch this real quick little video. It explains the, I don't know if Steve's ever showed it to you or not, but it explains our new conceptual framework. Have you seen it? It's about 7 minutes.
From the School of Education at Gardner Webb University, I bring you greetings.
Are you seeing it?
I am Dr. Stephen Bingham.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear it?
In this brief video, I explain for members of our university community an infographic that represents our purpose, how and in what ways we fulfill our purpose, and the efficient result of doing so. The School of Education integrates a singular organizational identity into and across every course and program. Our identity is comprised of 4 guiding features: mission, vision, conceptual framework, and student learning outcomes. Each feature was the result of sustained democratic engagement by the faculty over the course of 1 year. Our organizational identity is promoted and publicized in all School of Education print and electronic resources. Enlarged, framed copies of our infographic are strategically displayed in areas frequented by our faculty, candidates, and visitors. Shown in slate blue, the first feature of our organizational identity is our mission statement. The School of Education equips candidates to impact communities through innovative, collaborative leadership by applying principles of learning and continuous improvement to foster meaningful intellectual thought, critical analysis, spiritual challenge, and preparation for success within a diverse world. We recognize that our mission is tantamount to our purpose, our unique reason to exist, not only among independent colleges and universities in North Carolina, but in the world. Our mission statement articulates and underscores our everyday work. It recognizes cognition and research-based principles of learning and continuous improvement. It recognizes the role of intellect, critique, and transcendence as we build candidate capacity to make a difference in communities across the global village. Toward the end that our candidates will emulate our example, we work daily to lead and model innovation and collaboration. Shown in red, the second feature is our conceptual framework, a 3-legged stool articulated by learner, assessment, and knowledge. In the first leg of our stool, we recognize the learner is rightly the focus of collective energy and action, and the primary reason for the existence of the university and the school. It is, however, not only the instruction of the learner that we recognize and value, rather we value our relationship with and moral duty toward the learner. We understand the learner to be an adult whose developmental needs and ways of knowing are instructionally supported and challenged. We understand that our relationship is asymmetrical in expertise and experience, but perfectly symmetrical in terms of the ideal mutual affection and responsibility we rightly promote. Our stool's second leg supports the notion that learners are not served until and unless we have rendered an assessment. In assessing, we measure against publicly stated and widely understood goals the extent to which each candidate has learned, the extent to which matriculants in each course are meeting and have met specified student learning outcomes, and the extent to which the program of study is meeting and has met its intent to develop scholar practitioners around a core set of knowledge and skills. Collected data at each level, student, course, and program, is subjected to collegial dialogue, analysis, and interpretation, and committed action to continuously improve instruction and infrastructure and to ensure rigorous and relevant content. The third leg of our stool is knowledge. Here we recognize that knowing rightly precedes doing, and that doing right things is a result of knowing right things. We recognize that there are many ways of knowing and that the foundation of every way of knowing is a result of reason, science, humanism, and progress. For the sake of progress in the world and the enlightenment of every candidate we teach, we build our programs and courses and our pedagogy using research, promising, and best practice. We instruct using only the most current resources and technologies. We routinely engage in professional development to improve our knowledge and skills and provide opportunities for candidates to demonstrate and create new knowledge and skills. Shown in gold, the third feature of our organizational identity is our student learning outcomes. Embedded in these 6 outcomes are our beliefs about and commitments for who and what every matriculating candidate ideally demonstrates. First, we believe candidates should leave our institution as ethical and collaborative leaders. Professionals serve and lead in communities. We intend that our candidates build organizations where leadership is changed from the position of the few to the skilled, collaborative, ethical practice of the many. Second, we intend that our candidates are evidence-based decision makers. Evidence in the form of publicly verifiable data is the foundation of knowledge. Without evidence, truth is in the eye of the beholder, not a recipe for progress. Third, we require that our candidates are reflective and effective practitioners. Experience, it is said, is an excellent teacher, but only if reflected upon. Only by determining antecedent conditions through reflection is the hope for becoming an effective practitioner possible. Fourth, we intend that our candidates are innovative integrators of technology. Technology in the service of classroom instruction and school and organizational administration is useful only to the extent that it is appropriately applied to sought for outcomes. We expect our candidates not only to integrate technology appropriately, but to use it in ways as yet to be imagined. Fifth, we believe that candidates should be content knowledge experts. As previously stated, knowing rightly precedes doing rightly. Candidates ideally leave us with declarative and procedural knowledge useful to their workplace and work. Sixth and last, we intend that our candidates are culturally competent. Only when the candidate demonstrates both knowledge and skill in experiencing the world through the eyes of other cultures and peoples can effective practice be expected. As shown in orange, the last feature of our organizational identity is our vision statement. The Gardner-Webb University School of Education is a catalyst for positive, sustainable change. A vision is the preferred state of our organization's future. A statement of not what is possible nor probable absent intervention, rather it is a statement of what may be. Ironically, the likelihood of achieving the preferred state is to live as if it is already happening. Hence, we posit our vision in the present tense. So we aspire daily to ignite, energize, and catalyze the human resources around us, recognizing the potential in all living matter. We seek change that is every stakeholder's dream for a positive preferred world, not as one like George Bailey's dystopian Pottersville from Frank Capra's 1946 film, It's a Wonderful Life, but the Bedford Falls made dramatically better because George lived. And we see change that is most positive and sustainable. In other words, we want change that sticks. We hope that you are now better acquainted with the work and core ideology of the School of Education at Gardner-Webb University. Thank you for being part of our community.
All right. You know, I just saw that thing come up too that only have like 8 more minutes going. And I have to tell you that I do have a few more things other than the 8 minutes. So, and I do have the new Zoom account. So I don't think it's going to go off on me, but it looks like it's clicking down here 8 more minutes. So I'll try to, just in case, if we do go off, I'll send you a new invitation. If you'll look at it to your school account and then come back on with me, just in case we do go off. Is everybody okay with that? Thumbs? Okay. All right. I do have the extended time because I knew I needed that. So, let me go over this real quick before, in case I do get cut off. Okay, here it is. All right. Let me show you this. And again, if we get cut off, I'll send out another Zoom request, and if they let me do it, we will certainly do another one. All right. You all, if you've read ahead, you understand that a part of this class will be you all doing presentations. So I will post this onto week 1 so you can see it. But a part of looking ahead at the shell that Steve gave me, you all are responsible for at least 3 different events. And Ms. Smith, who joined, Frida, I didn't have you on the list at that time, so you and I are going to work together for some unique projects that we'll get to do. But if you will look, I'm going to do chapter 1 today. It may be on Zoom number 2, but I'm going to do chapter 1. And then next week for presentations, and the presentation should be anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. It could be through a PowerPoint. It could be through a video. I'll just turn over Zoom to you, and it'll be your opportunity. But as you can see, the next 5 of you will have some chapters from Fowler to do a quick presentation on, anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes. If you do a PowerPoint, you cannot do over 10 slides. If you do a presentation, again, try to keep it within that 10 to 15 minutes. Then I have broken down for the other classes on September 26th. There are a couple of chapters that will complete the Fowler book. And then the Essex presentations start in October, and we have 3 dates for the Essex presentations. And Frida, again, you and I, because I didn't have you at the time, but you and I will look at some presentations that you'll be able to do. Everybody has 3. So my apologies to those of you who I pulled from the middle of the alphabet. To Tabitha, I apologize to you all, but you were the first one. So next week, and if we go out of Zoom and I come back and I'll show you a quick little presentation of how I did chapter 1. And that's kind of the baseline. You can do whatever you want with it, but make your presentation in any format that you want. All right, I will place this on week 1 so you can see, so you don't have to write it down, and remind your colleagues that they are responsible too. All right, now looking, this is probably going to cut us off, but let me kind of begin with, okay. I know how to get rid of that. All right, again, if we cut off, we'll come back with another invitation. But this is sort of the model that I created for, or I'm going to use for chapter 1. Again, feel free to do whatever it is you need to do to make it your own. Fowler 1, chapter 1, in the book, of course, is Policy Studies for the Educational Leader. Chapter 1 deals with the background of educational policy. If you've read the chapter, which I hope you have, it really delves into sort of the history. It delves into why we have policy, the importance of policy, and then it, in parts of the chapter, it also goes into how a policy is evolving. But the key takeaway from all of this is how your role as a school administrator, whether you're the building level principal, you're in central office, is going to and has changed with policy over the last couple of decades and years. So in chapter 1, key topics: what is policy? Where does it come from, and why in the world would you want to study it? And with the takeaways as a school administrator, this is how it impacts you. So, slide 1, and again, try to keep it to 10 if you do a PowerPoint. I basically went through, defined the policy, of what policy intentions, and although I'm not going to read it to you, but just to kind of highlight some of the major portions of the chapter. The key takeaway for me on this is that public policy is not simple. And there are so many moving pieces to public policy. There are so many values that are placed on public policy, so many different stakeholders. But what it is, public policy is the way that local governments handle a perceived problem or a public problem. And it's got to rise to the occasion of a public problem. It may be a small problem, but it's not going to be public policy until it becomes annoying to enough of us. It's not going to be public policy unless there is an absolute end game to it, where there is a solution that could come. You know, ending poverty will never be a public policy, or not a reliable one, because it's something that they've tried, and it's just certainly an obtainable, a wishable goal, but it's certainly something that policy will not be able to completely eliminate and address. So public policy really has got to have something that can come out of it. It's got to be able to address a problem that can be solved. It is also all about communication. It is written, it is spoken, but probably the biggest part of public policy is the perceptions and how it is perceived, because that in itself can really determine the fate of public policy. The other thing to remember too is that just because it's out there and it's in the domain and that it's a policy, it certainly doesn't mean that it's being followed. Now try to think of an example of this, and you probably have tons of them. There's probably a school board policy that you have, somewhere in your school system that really isn't being followed. And if the superintendent were to walk the halls of your school or your site and knew that policy well, they wouldn't be able to see it being fully implemented. Now, I'm not going to ask you to share because I know you're superintendents, but I can almost guarantee you that in all the buildings in all of Caldwell County, there are policies that were not being followed. And it wasn't because that the people didn't know the policy. One, it had to know, it could very well have been that they didn't understand it. It could very well be that they interpreted it differently than it was intended to be interpreted, or it could be sabotage. So that's always a possibility. I have less than a minute. Do you see that on my screen? Do you think they're going to cut me off in a minute? Do you really?
Yep.
All right. Well, why don't we do this then? Why don't you take a quick little bathroom break? If it goes off in a minute, I will send you another invite.
Okay.
Or eat something.
Question, if it cuts off, is the invite coming through our Gardner Webb email?
I don't have your other emails yet, so I'll send it to Gardner Webb.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see if it does it. Take a break.
Dr. Stone,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure which email you have for me. I think it's my school system email, but
Who is this?
no worries. This is free.